my goodness me, it's a bona fide West Country miracle as the Madaxeman Podcast returns, this time with an Attacking Devizes special, in which we talk about all the interesting things, big rocks, local food, local restaurants and beer, and we do also get onto a bit of wargaming. On this podcast, you'll hear Dave from the podcast returning, but also a new other Dave making a guest appearance, as well as Jason and also Steve, who is also sometimes known as Bernadette. But that's an entirely different story, and that is the kind of thing that does happen in the West Country from time to time. So sit back and be amazed, and apologies for some patchy audio, but we'll give this one a go. It's back, the Madaxeman Podcast.
This means war.
Right, well, welcome to a rare and fleeting Madaxeman podcast, and we've assembled an eclectic, unusual cast here. We do have a Dave, which is good. Dave from the podcast is here, but we've also this is a West Country special after the gastronomic tourism trip and occasional wargaming expedition to Attack Show in Devizes and the neighbouring town of Melksham, and various other points on the way. So we've got Jason and Steve, who's called Bernadette for technical reasons this evening, but we will attempt to try and remember to call him Steve. And we may have Dave, another Dave, coming in if he can resolve the technical issues, which is slightly inevitable because he's the only sort of IT bloke amongst us really here anyway. But without further ado, we ended up, all of us, going to the 25 and the 15 mil competitions for ADLG in the wonderful little show at Attack in Devizes, which has been I think Dave, we missed it last year because we went to Scotland. But Jason, I guess, and Steve, is it the one, it's kind of sort of a must do for the West Country world, isn't it? And it's been chugging along for ages in that school. Or even before, from when it was in the town hall.
I think I missed it last year in terms of playing, but went down to the show anyway.
Yeah.
No, I've never been before. So
really? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh no, but I suppose you're in Derby, aren't you? I just keep forgetting.
Yeah.
I associate you with people in the West Country. That's it. Maybe it's the
I think I've only been there once or twice before. I think I've been once a long time ago in Fog Days, which I just have no memory of at all. So that was probably very early on. But and then there was one other time where I played 25mm and then looked round at the 15mm and thought, my God, aren't they tiny?
Yeah. That is always the challenge, isn't it?
Weird perspective thing. So that must have been a long time ago as well.
Yeah.
was it going into EBM days then?
Oh yes, you
So,
play
yeah.
EBM down there regularly. But I think these days just getting the accommodation has got so much harder.
Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
And that's why over the last couple of years I don't think I've been.
No, it's just been too hard to find anywhere to stay. Because it used to be, is it the Black Lion, the Black Swan in the old Market Square?
There's some
the Bear, yes, the
nice
Bear.
pub you could stay in,
Yeah.
but they just book it too far in advance.
And they're just too expensive. And I think they even opened a Travelodge on the outskirts of town, and even that was full, or something. But whether there was, wasn't there an 80s retro Ibiza rave going on in a nearby stately home?
Oh yeah.
So that would have been the crossover no one was looking for, I guess. That we may have an Everett tuning in, possibly.
We
That could be
have.
wonderful.
Just not like my camera's damn well working. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Dave, and you look like you're in the Matrix or something.
Yeah, I probably am. It's probably to do with my black duster coat and the fact I've taken too many drugs.
That could be.
Not really. Either of those.
In your life.
But
Well, look,
it's a great
Paul
Matrix.
Smith.
It's Paul Smith. Yeah, it's a Paul Smith Matrix crossover, which looks rather fantastic.
Is he joining us on the ZX Spectrum as well?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get bleepy noises and stuff like that.
Yeah, I need to set this camera up because I don't use it very often. I haven't got a camera on my PC, and I don't use a laptop.
Yeah.
So I have
You got a clockwork
camera
phone.
attached.
God.
For some reason, it's telling me it's attached to another app, but I haven't got any other apps going. So just technical incompetence, basically.
No, it's probably your OnlyFans account or something, isn't it? Or Cameo, is that what it's called? People get special messages.
Yeah, I earned a fortune out of that. My OnlyFans account, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so or possibly pay into it. I don't know. So that could be it. But no, I wanted to. We were just talking, Dave, about how impossible it is to end up getting accommodation actually in Devizes now, partly because there was a 80s Ibiza reunion going on, but partly just because it's a lovely kind of golden stone town in the West Country, with a town with a brewery in it, which is kind of nice, and it's a nice relaxed competition as well. So I think we have kind of two divergent routes to it, in that me and Dave went to see some rocks, and here's a picture of a rock. And then you and Jason went to the pub, from what I can make out.
Yeah. But we did have a ploughman's, which is traditional, and probably back in the day when they were doing those rocks, they probably had ploughman's as well.
They probably would have done. Some of the pubs were probably still open then. So, but we stayed in. And Jason, this was kind of your find, wasn't it? The town of Melksham, which is about 15 minutes.
Just trying to find somewhere that was close enough that we didn't have to get up at 6 o'clock to drive in from Bristol every day. And when we're all been out drinking the night before. Yeah.
And I kind of picked up this
town, Melksham.
And
it's also got a brewery.
Oh, it's got a brewery as well. Well, maybe it's kind of moved on. Brewery. Okay. So so you arrived before lunch then, if you had a ploughman's, or was it a late lunch?
It was a sort of latest lunch.
About 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
The sun was shining, the garden was calling, and the beer was nice.
Yeah. And how many different pubs did you manage to test for us all on that first Friday? You can't remember.
I only have been four.
Only
maybe.
4.
Yeah, I don't think we got too many.
We did the Stealth Pub, we did the Wetherspoons, we did the Newmarket Tavern. Did we do another?
There was a Wetherspoons, you said.
What's the Stealth Pub? What is a Stealth Pub when it's at home?
Right. No, is it Stealth Brewery or Hidden Brewery?
Oh, it's not like a pub that is just invisible. Then it's actually just called the Stealth Pub.
Named after the local microbrewery.
Right.
It is the Stealth Brewery.
Oh, that's really disappointing. I thought it was named after the F-117 American jet fighter or something like that.
Yeah, you get to fly one of those while you're drinking.
Yeah. There's probably a special app or something for it. Okay, but you said
too much of the stout that's in there. You probably feel like you were flying an F-111 or something, because it was about 17% or something, wasn't it, Jason?
Yeah, it was truly strong. We had a third that we shared between us.
You shared a third.
Deep fried Mars bar or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, deep fried Mars bar stout.
Deep fried Mars bar stout at 17%. That's awesome. Good.
That's what it does on the tin.
Yeah. Well, on our way then, me and Dave did cultural stuff and went to see now, is it the poor man's Stonehenge, or is Stonehenge the poor man's Avebury Circle? I think that is the question.
I think they're both as relevant as each other.
To anybody who likes rock, I guess.
I'm a big fan of the Neolithic.
Yeah, what was their best album? I'm not entirely sure. So I think this is one of the rocks, but of which there's a number, which are clearly not as impressively engineered as the Stonehenge ones. But at the end of the day, they're really fucking big, aren't they? And it's still quite an achievement. And the whole place is just enormous. I'd driven past it on that A303 many times and never stopped, but or A whatever it is that goes past it. And this time it's actually toward it, and the whole site is just vast, and it's got this huge ditch and thing around it, ditch and bank around it, which is just crazy. Like, this is only part. This was like an inner circle. This is some weird gateway to it, but it just. This ditch is, you guys, because it's, if you're Jason, have you guys ever been? Or
oh yeah.
I've been a few times. Yeah.
So what? Okay, well, why would you go again? Because it is just rocks.
Cool.
It's bloody cool.
It's a really cool place.
Yeah,
because you can commune with your ancestors there.
Yeah, but yeah, so
it's one of those places at different times of year has a different kind of feel to it and stuff.
Okay,
and you need to do the whole walk, which we didn't obviously do.
Yeah,
we didn't walk up and down the long pathway thing or whatever.
The avenue.
Because we'd heard that you were in the pub and we were on the march towards it, and then there was a lot of sheep, which is entertaining, and yet more rocks. And yeah, there's a view of the Ditch Bank as well, which I wonder how many people outside the UK have even heard of it, because Stonehenge is so famous.
Well, there were lots of Americans there, weren't there?
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, you say lots, but it was a glorious day like this, and we're a little short on people in these pictures, aren't we? There's a lot of sheep.
That's a good thing. It's not busy.
It was good that it was not busy. We got there slightly late, just not quite in time to make ice cream out of it, and then we headed to Melksham to meet you in, well, of course, Waitrose, which was a small but bijou Waitrose, I thought, but very well stocked for adulting. There it is. There's a picture of the thing. I managed to find a stock photo.
Is that in case people don't know what Waitrose is?
No, but that's the Waitrose in Melksham, which until 2009 used to be like a Budgeons or something like that, or
Aldi.
Not an Aldi, like a Super Key or some sort of strange Midlands one. And if you Google it, there's some story. There's very little stories actually about it, but the whole town was very, very excited to get a Waitrose, and I think so were we to find it before we decided that you'd done all the pubs, so we just raid their beer and barbecue section and pick up quite an eclectic but grown-up selection of beers. So any that you can remember that we had, or
Northern
did you think
Monk.
there was a Northern Monk speciality?
There was about 8 cans of Stella in there, Tim.
Yeah.
I know. I I was going to wait for you to claim those, but in terms of
I'm drinking one of those at the minute.
One of those.
But in terms of the fancy wargamer stuff, Stella's quite exotic, really, isn't it? Compared to if it's not in a sort of laminated can with a tactile finish and a picture of something from the 14th century on it. That's all kind of quite unusual. And we managed to have a decent old barbecue, and without burning the house down. I nearly destroyed the microwave trying to make rice, which nobody really wanted. But we don't talk about that in case whoever's Airbnb it was listening.
Well, I got a good review anyway, so.
You got a good review. You got a good review as a visitor. Well done. Excellent. That's reassuring.
Recommended to stay other places as well.
Oh, good. They've recommended stuff. And then we went back we did some gaming, which we'll come on to in a minute.
This means war.
And then we went back to Melksham after the competition and managed to find a pub, which I posted about this pub on Facebook, and I posted this menu, and I had somebody reply going, "That looks really good. Where is it? I live in Melksham."
Yeah.
I was like, it's got, this was a fairly prominent pub right in the middle of town that was pretty good, really, wasn't it? Even though we were a bit unsure when we started. But
it was fairly inexpensive, pretty damn quirky, had a good selection of beer, and the menu was just good. Yeah,
it was just like Wargamer special, wasn't it? Really, there was some. It was a good price, good beer, and there was some, and this was just the fancy specials menu, but they had a normal menu as well. So I managed to. In fact, we're going to review the army list in a minute, but we can probably just talk about. So whose pie was this one?
That's either Dave's or mine, I think.
Okay.
Oh, that's
no, I had the liver, mate. I had the liver. So
not you, Dave.
The other Dave.
So Dave, we think this is your pie then, do we? So this looks like it's in
my t-shirt. That's not mine. That's
Jason's. It's Jason's pie. So Jason, think about how this meal was put together. What was your strategy in terms of having yellow sort of potato-based products on the left-hand flank, and then putting the crust into the cup?
Yellow-based products by turning them to brown-based products by the addition of gravy.
Of course, a classic move. A classic move.
I do like the green skirmish line in front of the yellow.
Yeah,
I think that's a good plan. Yeah, I think that's a nice plan. Yeah,
it's ambushing out of the woods.
It's ambushing. It allows the mashed potato to ambush in a forest of whatever they are, some sort of pea shoots or something like that. And how did it work out in the end, Jason? Once you got through the tough outer crust of it.
Well, it was a pleasant enough crust. I'm always disappointed with I don't really believe they're pies if they haven't got a pastry base.
Right.
Perhaps that's just a northern thing that it offends my northern soul. But it was generally very good. The filling was very good. Slightly too, ironically, having moaned that it didn't have a pastry base, slightly too much pastry to really comfortably drink much beer afterwards.
Oh. And Steve, you're the most northern person on the call. Where do you stand on pie base? Yes or no?
It's got to have a pie. It's got to have a base to be a pie. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, let's clear that up then. And then this one. This looks like a roast beefy type thing with. Oh, this was just liver, or
is that my liver and bacon? Which was
your liver and
okay.
bacon.
It wasn't bad at all. I don't eat much liver or offal, so when I see it on a menu,
why did you choose it?
No,
sorry.
when I see it on a menu, I tend to be attracted towards it because I don't have it in the house, kind of thing. So when I see it, I want it. And the gravy was great. The mash was good. The liver was fine. It was all right, yeah.
Okay, it was a solid one, and that good ambushing screen again over there.
Yeah. I did like the pea shoots actually. I thought that was quite a different garnish. Yeah.
And when you're approaching this sort of composition, do you tend to eat the bacon first and then the liver, or do you tend to mix them up in three commands of mixed bacon?
I try to use combined arms.
Combined arms, yeah, indeed.
Yeah, combined arms I find to be the best way of using it. So I try and integrate my different strands of the army together to give the best result.
That's good, excellent. And then here's a classic. Steve, I'm looking at you here on this one.
Yeah.
Talk us through your sausage and mash swimming in beautiful gravy.
It's my triumvirate of sausage.
Your triumvirate sausage. Was it on the menu as a triumvirate of sausage?
There were 3 different types of sausages. So that's what kind of attracted me to it.
Yeah.
I'm a fairly fussy eater at the best of times. So I kind of don't like fish, and most kind of red meats I don't eat. So mashed up sausages is brilliant for me. Mashed sausage is fantastic. And mine was really, really nice. The sausages were really well done. They're really obviously kind of, if not homemade, they were basically bought at a local butcher's. The mash was really nice. The gravy, the extra veg we got, I thought was smashing, and definitely bang bigger than its book kind of thing than I expected. So,
and did you think one of the sausages?
Say that this video is not sponsored.
No, this is not sponsored. But I was going to ask you, Steve, did you think one of the sausages might make a bid to be the emperor of sausages, and in a subsequent meal you would have only had like one big sausage? If
it was kind of more like kind of basically battling generals across kind of kind of the empire type thing. So.
Did you send one over to the west hand side of the plate?
Yeah, neither one raising kind of above the other though. One had a bit more of a spicy tinge, so probably was constantly.
So one of the proper...
say a second triumvirate: Lepidus on the right, Anthony in the centre, and Octavian masquerading as Augustus.
Actually, now I'm zooming in. I can see what you mean there, Dave. Yeah, he's definitely got an Octavian. Definitely got a bit of Octavian about him, hasn't he? Yeah. And then oh no, is that Julius Caesar? No, it's Macbeth.
No, that's probably Agrippa. The green pea stuff is probably Agrippa looking after Augustus or Octavian, however you wish to describe it.
Or it could be the garland, couldn't it? It could be the garland around the head that crowns them. That could be it. So this was pretty military themed.
Looking at that gravy, it was the Battle of Actium.
Yeah, there was a lot of swimming going on in there. And then this is a shot midway through the destruction of a pie. And there's some that's a bit of lid that's been taken off. This has been dismembered carefully, and it looks a little bit of a gap in it, but that's the thing with most pies, isn't it? Really, it's still a tough one.
They were good pies. They were really good pies. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it.
Good. And I didn't feel there was much gap.
No,
I thought it was a fantastic value because I mean, when you thought the rainbow trout was like 18 quid, even though there weren't any rainbow trouts available.
And were these lagers, or was this the fancy sort of local IPA thing that I think I seem to have?
Zealand IPA.
Yeah, maybe there was a London one. But
was it Taikiki? I think I was drinking. Was it Taikiki, James?
It was claiming.
It was. Oh, what was it? Typhoon, something like that. Yeah, or Tahiti. Or something.
Yeah, it was something like that, wasn't it?
Something like that.
So Tahiti bit. Okay.
Thanks for that, Dave. No, it wasn't something like
here's my world's cheapest place, I think. Because I think I tried, as you say, I tried to order something else that they didn't have. and they
Rainbow Trout.
I ordered Rainbow Trout, and they upgraded me to place, which but charged me the same.
Oh, okay.
And as you can see, I was straight in there. High initiative factor, really just got right in amongst it before even the enemy had a chance to react. And there's still a bit of swimming in stuff over here, but a different color on this side. But this common area, maybe there was a theme of there was vegetation on every battlefield, and very similar vegetation. It wasn't
looks
a
like
good
your
day to
centre's collapsed there, though, Tim.
Yeah.
So I'd be a bit worried there, because your centre looks in severe under severe threat. Yeah,
indeed.
It looks a bit like Mark Antony's quinquirem at the end of the Battle of Actium.
I imagine if his quinquirem looked like that, he would have he would never have sat down, would he, for months? So
after he's quit and run off looking for the
indeed.
I think the thing that I like.
God, we're almost on to wargaming there. Hang about.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God, no, surely not.
No.
The thing that impressed me was that we never had to say anything. They offered everything. They literally went, Tim, you just kind of went, oh, I'll have the place. And they went, oh, well, give you that for 18 quid then. And it was like, it was just.
No, there's no messing about,
Yeah, it was all about us kind of thing. And I really loved that.
And
Good.
just before we leave the pub, it's probably got one of the most interesting beer gardens I've seen in any pub.
Yeah, completely mad, wasn't it? Completely bonkers.
With all the little kind of cubicles around the side that you could kind of pull curtains across. And
I thought that was very like Bournemouth. There's a pub we go to in Bournemouth that's very similar. Sort of shabby chic pub look.
Yeah.
Which we all fitted in perfectly with.
And the weird thing from outside, when I saw it for the first time on the Saturday night, I thought, oh, this is just like a bog standard high street pub.
Yeah.
And it looks very average from the outside, like kind of a brewery pub. And then you go inside and you're like, whoa, this is like amazing, really.
Yeah, it's a bit mental, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I think Melksham's a very solid choice now. I think it could become a staple for future attacks.
And 15 minutes to get to the venue as well.
Nothing. And it's a pretty relaxed start as well, isn't it, with attack. That works well.
This means war.
And then we did go to attacks. We'd already done a day by the time of this one. And so Jason and Steve and me were playing in the 25mm event. And it was double Dave in the 15mm event. So 25mm event was themed on Arts of the Gear, and it was themed on weird Eastern stuff, I think, was the long and the short of it, towards the back end of the history period. And double Dave, yours was Wars of the Persians, was it? Cyrus
the Great, the armies and enemies of Cyrus
the Great, which is a very, very different theme indeed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look through some of the army lists and talk about how they did. So in no particular order. This was starting up with mine. This was Ilkhanid Mongol, and a slightly unusual composition, to say the least, which is Mr. Saunders' fault, I think. I was trying to use some of my kind of 28mm Araby type figures and do something that was a bit different to another army that's a bit like Ghaznavid, because I've used an army that's a bit like Ghaznavid quite a few times. And then Dave, you suggested this mad Armenian ally that you said you'd done well with or competently with, that makes the Ilkhanid Mongol army have 4 knights and 4 elite knights, which is completely weird in this period. It's great unless they come up against elephants, in which case you've got to find a better solution to it. So it was just really using lots of toys, trying to use these 4 heavy spearmen that I don't normally use, do something very different, use these triple arm cavalry, throw some artillery in, have something completely and also I think was important having a small enough command to flank march, because I'd not done that in competitions for a while. But I think it was an army that I fiddled with the list so many times that, when you keep changing something and tweaking it, and then you go back and change something else and it doesn't balance, and you keep going, I'll come back and I'll fix that later. And then I realized after I'd sent it in that this Sicilian Armenian general was an ordinary included general in an impetuous medium knight in a command of 9.
which is quite a lot to do, really, isn't it?
Which gives him quite a lot to do. Even just keeping his own hair on is quite a challenge if you're an ordinary impetuous general knight. And he's got spearmen, he's got a bowman, he's got stuffed, and it was just like, what? Why isn't he better? And I kind of, it's still only 22 units, which is a bit mad. And I think the artillery is always a clever idea when you think about it, but I think in practice it meant that it had to sit next to the spearmen, sort of. But then that committed the Armenian nobles to be somewhere else, because the Armenian nobles wanted to be with the Frankish mercenaries. So you had two commands that sort of had to be intermingled, which you're not allowed to do. So they had to keep running and swapping over with each other. And then if you leave the little Mongol command at the end with the 3 shot cavalry off table, you've really got to anchor the flank on something, because that Armenian command isn't really great at holding up a flank because it's only got 2 light foot. So it was a bit weird, but it did catch some people out. But I don't know. Well, Steve, you had to play against it, and what do people think, other than what the hell were you thinking?
I think the 4 knights makes it really attractive in this kind of period, even with the amount of elephant armies. But if you kind of think half the armies were elephants and half the armies were samurai, against both of them, they're a bit of a terror, aren't they? Really? And I'd actually looked at this list initially to take. I'd not spotted the Armenians like David spotted them.
Nobody had spotted them. Nobody had spotted them.
Because you go down the list, don't you, of allies, and go,
exactly.
And I don't know the list inside out, so I just Armenian. Oh, that'll be some rubbish spearmen, and
and it is,
and it is, and it does. I kind of guess. The one thing is that I obviously I fought it and lost to it, but the Armenian does make it a bit of a target. But then at the same time, that's quite good because it kind of pulls. I kind of guess a lot of people just aim their elephants at your Armenians, probably kind of releasing your knights to go around and do other things, kind of thing,
I think it certainly felt like that, and the Armenian spearmen could probably tell a few tales of being targeted by elephants and removed from play quite
I know I definitely did that. I targeted the spearmen, but then struggled with the rest because of all the cavalry, the impact cav, all the elites, and then chuck in like you kind of. I think I fought at least 2 knights, didn't I?
Yeah.
You took in the 2 knights extra, and obviously the Armenian general spent most of the game wandering around the board on his own, didn't he? So
that's true. Actually, and then I think the flank march came on early against you, didn't it? I think. That was pretty early. So
we both had unreliable generals that went unreliable.
True. Yeah.
And then your flank march turned up.
It was like all the dice roll nonsense. Yeah. So Dave, you're responsible for this army in some ways.
Not my version.
No, it's not your version. That's what I meant.
Denying it now.
Not my version.
Yeah. So what did you
have
do?
The artillery for a start. What's the point of having artillery with a load of dancing cavalry?
No, that's
elephant period.
Well, to be honest, Dave, I think that can work. If you sling your cavalry forward and then fall back on your artillery can actually work quite nicely. But with the knights as well, you can't fall back. You're stuck once you sling them forward.
Yeah.
So I don't think the 3 things together work that well,
My version's completely different because I don't think the Armenian ally's big enough. I think you can have even mediocre spear and have 6 mediocre spear. I'd have the Bedouin light horse lancer in there working with the Armenian nobles, and basically that you just fill the centre of the table with a load of crap spear for people to deal with, and then you have loads and loads of elite cavalry running around the side. So I'd have the 2 wing commands. I wouldn't have a micro command. I'd have equal size. So you've got the option of the knights being on either side or trying to team up together depending on the enemy. But you're combining 2 knights with at least 1 shock cavalryman, and elite cavalry, elite horse as well. So I mean, I think I actually nicked it off another of the West Country guys who brought it to Bournemouth one year. Who played at what do we got in Toyment?
Okay.
And I think next time it was available, I used it, and I think I won the competition with it.
Yeah, I think with those things, I did look at maximising crap spearmen, but I thought there's going to be elephants and samurai. So having spearmen who can stand up a bit longer to elephants is probably better. And having spearmen who, with the light infantry, can possibly get into samurai bowman. Obviously not the two-handed cutting weapon, they're dog meat anyway, but might be able to get into the bowman. I thought was a bit better. And then the artillery was, at the end of the day, this was an elephant period. And it really was going to have a lot of elephants, so I thought jam that in. But you do end up going, you're right, that's that's 10 points that sits there and can be entirely useless. But I don't know, Jason, what are you just looking at this in fear and horror, and just go, what the fuck were you thinking?
No, I think that would have been a great thing for me to fight. Although the samurai did rather let me down.
Right.
We definitely have a new emperor
after
the weekend, because my emperor was terrible all weekend, and one of his subs actually usurped him. No, my initial thought was, if I've got all that dancing cavalry, what I really want to do is I'll stick a bit of heavy artillery in that. That'll match up with the speed of that command and maneuverability.
It's kind of, you get these one-trick armies. I think this is like a three-trick army. But once you've got 3 tricks into it, you've kind of...
Are they 3 tricks that work together?
No, not at all. No, in fact, it might be 4 tricks. I think it's small flank march command, more knights than you expect, an artilleryman, and 4 spearmen. But you've spent a lot of points on tricks that have to come off, and the points have gone from having a sensible command and control with the Armenians, and that's why they ended up with a 2 wins, a mutual, and a loss, I think, on over the weekend, which was hard fought, but the final game, all the chickens came home to roost, and nothing really worked at all. I'm not sure my artillery even got a shot in the last game. It was just and my Frankish cavalry and the Armenian knights all got killed by enemy cavalry. The elephants just evaporated my spearmen. It was just like, no, that's not supposed to happen. But enough of that one.
This means war.
The Ghaznavid, Steve, your Ghaznavid. So, talk us through the strategist Mahmoud and this particular Ghaznavid one, because the unusual thing about this is having your 4 impact and impetuous foot without a accompanying Death Star, and you've created a kind of bowman shooting spearman mega Death Star in the middle.
Yeah,
you've separated the 2 foot.
Basically, I've not played singles in about 3 years, and the only ADLG games I've played is at Burton doubles with Kev Johnson, who in all reality carries me. So, so I was kind of looking to play I wanted to use an army that I was quite used to, a style of army that I was quite used to. I've always liked the kind of Middle Eastern Arabic style armies, played Khurasanian and Abbasid quite a lot. So I just chose Ghaznavid as that. I thought I was going to fight a lot of samurai.
Which you should have done, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to spread out the kind of attacking intent of the army on a wider front, so I wasn't kind of stuck that if the elephants kind of ended up against something they didn't want to fight, I could hit it somewhere else with the Dale army and the kind of the impetuous swordsman. Because even though they kind of like... they lose their impact impetuosity, they've still got the Fury's charge, so you're invariably still hitting them on evens, and if you roll up on the dice, you're going to blow a hole through them, kind of thing. So so that was the idea, and then obviously I only fought 1 samurai all weekend. I fought basically both of the cavalry armies in period, the Tibetan and yours, and then basically a classical Indian at the end, which it kind of did really well against the classical Indian. The tiny little command is just completely stolen from Dave and Richard's talking about kind of like having, and including, I think it's a very much a Richard Case thing, included unreliable ordinary general in a little 4 command that you can basically hide or flank march or do anything with, kind of thing. And I kind of really like that, and it worked really well. I think kind of after playing you and the Tibetans on the first day, I think on the Saturday night I said to you, I probably should have gone with classical Death Star and then an anti cavalry command with the spearmen and bowmen in it like that. But then on Sunday, I played a later samurai, which was like a brilliant matchup for me, but just everything went rubbish. And I got everything into the right places, and it just didn't work. And then I played classical Indian in the last game, and again the army worked brilliantly against it, because he didn't have like an advantage anywhere kind of thing, and that I could engineer it with the kind of the generals and the command structure I got. I was able to engineer and put my troops exactly where I wanted them, kind of thing. So
I guess there's also a thing with the weakness of elephants is, if I remember the rules right, is plantations, that they struggle in plantations, but then so people against it. So is it so they can't go in there?
Plantations are just terrible for elephants.
So people potentially stick down plantations, and then you run a solid block of 4 really good medium infantry through them. And overrun people.
So kind of like to say it was probably about my first singles competition. Never played 25mm before.
Wow.
Never even got the army on table. So the first time I fought the Tibetan, Saturday morning, I was like, how does this fit?
Yeah.
And then me and Jace were talking about how, like, the ratios are the same. I've played a fair amount of 15mm ADLG. Ratios are the same, but it feels a completely different game. Like the distances don't kind of equate.
Yeah.
In the head, you're kind of like, oh wow, there seems to be less room, even though again, it should be the same. It feels like there's room on the board and stuff like that. So basically 2 wins and 2 losses and ending 7th. I was quite pleased with that.
That's a result, isn't it? Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. The army could basically, I think if I'd really looked at it, because I just thought it was going to be, I mean, it was jam-packed full of samurai. I just only thought one of them.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought, and I think the Tibetan and your army were probably 2 of the worst armies I could have fought. And I beat the Tibetan and lost yours in a humdinger of a game, I must say. Yeah. But I mean, that's.
Well, I think the flank march coming on was, you were playing an army with 3 tricks, and 1.5 of them came off, and that's. Came off immediately, so that's always going to be tricky, isn't it? To deal with.
Just to say for everybody, that picture that Tim's put on, where the only 2 battle groups on the board, that was ours, and we literally had 2 armies of 22, so we had 44 elements on the board, and there was only 4 of them that were in a group.
In groups. It was just completely fragmented. Yeah.
It was a very chaotic game.
Yeah, totally chaotic. Everybody chasing everybody. Yeah. Okay. Anybody got any thoughts on this? Jason, it was your figures, wasn't it? Did you did you put your 2 Peneth into the army list?
No, not really. I would have. I mean, I like that small command. I run a command very similar to that with my Koreans, of I think 4 elements with an included unreliable allied general. Again, I would have also been surprised by not running a classical Death Star, but I would have probably done that.
It's just such a no-brainer, the Death Star, isn't it? But against, if you're expecting to play samurai, or people who know there's a lot of elephants who might bring plantations, I think there is a legitimate call to flip it around that way.
I think it's a very flexible army, the Ghaznavian army, and there's many ways to play it. I think this is quite an interesting version, because the elephants are just the elephants. You don't really need the Dial army, and it makes them into a Death Star, but then this is not what you expect in the Ghaznavian army, so I think throw people off. I mean, I think it's actually quite a good version, because you can put that included unreliable army in the centre. You've got, I think it's a really good different combination. I think it would throw a lot of players off their line. I think it really was.
Yeah, I think I might have. I know the that 3rd command is classic Richard and Dave, but I might have been tempted to take one of the Turks and Nomads light cavalry and drop it into that middle command, so that you're playing with 2 heavy cavalry and a light cavalry as almost a mini flanking command. But that's, I can see how it would work like this, and I think that's probably the only thing I would change if I was trying to play it for that, that trick that you tried, that different trick.
You just reminded me of the thing that I found that I couldn't. I didn't feel comfortable switching them all around. So I always felt like that kind of core 2, the elephant command, because it had no light horse, I kind of had to put it in the middle-ish, If it got a light horse in it, I think then I could have put any command on the flank and any in the centre and anywhere kind of thing. And I think that was one thing that I thought about changing on it, is taking a Nomad out there and sticking it in with the elephant command, because basically both of the kind of the two bigger commands have got brilliant command and control, so we should be able to kind of quite easily handle it, you know. So
yeah, I can see that. Okay.
This means war.
Let's move on, and Jason, talk us through your samurai.
Okay, well, I'll just say from the samurai side of this plantations and elephants debate, I think if you're a samurai, you're perhaps giving up something by going for plantations, because it hampers all your medium shooty foot as well, just as much as it does the elephants. You're probably going to have to fight the elephants in the open with medium shooty foot if you've got plantations down. You might as well have them in the rough. Perhaps you can then second guess where they're going to be. So it might work for their armies, but if you've got a lot of shooting, then the plantations are a nightmare too. Whenever they came down all weekend, I avoided them. Having said that, I didn't win a single game. So perhaps you shouldn't take that as good advice. Ironically, this is, I think, an improvement on an army I took to roll call a couple of years ago, which actually did fairly well.
We'll come back to that one, Jason, in a minute. Yep.
So, yeah, a mounted command. I think there's 4 cavalry and the light cavalry, light bow. They're there to run around and threaten flanks and occupy space and take up room, so I can try and control the tempo of the game. Then we've got middle command, which is possibly, this looks like it's an old version. There wasn't actually an included general in this. I think I haven't amended the army list quite properly. So this I quite like, because it's got a fairly solid bit of heavy swordsman, two-handed weapon elite. They're quite good in the open. I'll come back to the downside of that in a moment. And then one really big sort of aggressive flank command, rough going command, stuff that's got lots of stuff that I think I'm quite confident shooting up and chopping things up in the rough. The problem that I found was down to the quality of my play, I suspect, because I'd forgotten the plan, which is to shoot, and shoot. And those 4 heavy swordsman, two-handed weapon elite just lure you into being a little bit more aggressive with than they should do. Whereas really, they should be sitting there waiting for someone to come on to you rather than going for them. And that probably got me into positions where the whole battle lines were being engaged too early before I could take advantage of all the shooting, and it got me into a lot of trouble. I would put on a quick plea for Steve that when you've had a battle where you've rolled loads and ones and ones and more twos and more ones, you then don't come and share that bad luck with your friends when you've had a quick result. Because your line can go down quickly, and that is potentially the problem with samurai. It's a nice army, it's got lots going for it, it's not too bad when you get into combat, but it's usually outclassed when you do actually come down to the fisticuffs. You want to spend as much time shooting people up before they get in as you possibly can, and when people do get in, then they potentially go over you quite quickly, because most of it's only got 3 cohesion points, which I came across with many a time over the weekend.
I must admit, Jason, I always think I've failed if my bow samurai get into any kind of combat other than killing off a few dregs that have walked through the bow fire to get to them in rough going.
Yeah. I mean, people came at me a lot. The terrain, I know you shouldn't blame the terrain. A poor workman blames his tools, so here I'm about to blame my tools. The terrain was a little bit unfriendly at times, and I think occasionally that forced me into trying to push too far too fast.
How do you mean? Sorry, Jeff, how do you mean unfriendly? What do you mean with this? I
often end up with a wide open flank that is potentially hard to cover against troops that had stuff that could swing around a wide open flank. And my downfall, actually, as a player, which I know about, but I still can't stop myself doing it, is I see somewhere where I've got a little bit of, I've got an edge there. I'll try and grab it and hold on to it and squeeze it. And if it doesn't come off quickly, then I tend to get rolled up from somewhere where I haven't got the edge and I can't quite defend staunchly enough. And that's largely what happened for most of the weekend. I got into, as Dave said, I should have been trying to hold off for longer and shoot and then go in. or let them come to me because they've been so shot up they've got to advance, rather than being a little bit more aggressive where I was. In my poor defence, I would say I looked at the boards often and went, well, if I don't attack, I'm just going to get rolled up. I can't deploy them across to support that. It is very much a shooty army. When I said I'd quite like to face Tim's army, it is based on that. It is based on the fact that almost everything shoots, and they shoot at longer, better range, and hopefully that shooting will come off by the time those heavy cavalry come in. And that should give me the edge in the combat if I've managed to shoot them up. If, of course, you don't, then they come in, they ride you down. But hey, such is life.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you keep looking at different compositions on Samurai. And Dave, I'm going to come to you in a minute. Because this looks like it's got all the right bits. 4 elite heavy swordsmen, tough. Then there's 2 + 2 elite samurai, and another one is 5, and then a couple of extra bowmen to shoot them in, and then an elite guy with katana and medium as well. So you've got 4, 8, 9 elite combat troops plus 3 mounted. You're up to 12. My kind of superficial thing is maybe that mounted command's either a bit big or is all in one place, which might be the same challenge as my army if you've got stuff that goes forward and stuff that goes back. But Dave, tell us what we're all not seeing here in your.
I don't know where to start. It's
not big enough.
It's not. They think I will send you my version. I'll send you my version. Simon Lorraine Mayer and I have used Samurai quite a bit. We started off with versions which are quite like this. This is nowhere near what. One thing I would say is you've got to have the strategist, because the strategist helps you move the terrain to where you want it to be, and you get that movement of terrain. All my swordsmen are just ordinary, and they're there just to block and hold things, whilst the real edge of this army is the samurai bow sword elite, and you want to get as many of those into it as well. So I have just 2 heavy cavalry in my whole army. I take the 2 light horse, 2 heavy cavalry, and a strategist and a competent, and it's all about maneuver and moving to flanks and things like that.
Actually, so if you're dropping the cavalry down to 2, you're saving 24 points there. And you're making these all normal, so you're saving another 8 points. So you've got 32 more points to play with these guys. That's at least another 3 of the samurai with bow, isn't it?
Yeah, I drop all the infantry are ordinary. All the heavy infantry with katana go down to ordinary. They are in 2 commands. There's 4 and 2 in mine, the same sort of thing, but they're all heavy infantry. And then they combine together from the strategist and the competent command. So they can just block in the middle of the table and hold elephants, hold infantry, hold pike, and they're just there to slowly die whilst you use your command and control to go round the outside of everything else, shooting as you go and causing damage. And I've got a real micro command of 1 heavy cavalry with elites included, ordinary and unreliable, with a light horse with him, and that command it can go ambush, flank march, and if it can sit in the middle of the table first thing down, and then it runs around looking for flanks to attack. I love it, absolutely love it.
One thing that I have played with Kev is a lot of samurai in doubles, and they're kind of the same. It's the same basically. Outlook works is that Kev's he doesn't have 4 cav together, he has 2 2s, I think.
Yes.
And then he has basically it's all about the bowmen, and the katana guys, the kind of the heavy infantry, are just there to block. And I think even in this period where you're probably not going to fight any knights, you definitely want them as ordinary, don't you? Because really the only reason you take them as elite is if you're thinking, well, I'm going to have to fight some knights at some point, and I want them to hold on for as long as possible before they kind of go down.
They hold up against knights just long enough for the katana, for the medium foot bow to get round the edges.
And the 200 chopper as well, isn't it? Is I think is brilliant. Is that kind of winning ties against kind of spears and pikes, isn't it? And then adding +1 when you're in combat and stuff. And I think I
have to disagree. Perhaps it was just the way the dice fell, but I think the 200 weapon made a difference on 3 combats in the entire weekend. So when I won, so the 200 weapon made it a difference of 2 rather than a difference of 1, or a difference of 4 rather than a difference of 3. And it was slightly, even when it was going well, it was slightly frustrating.
Well, there you go, Jack.
That's over the boundary.
That's the secret, though. If you'd not made them elite,
it wouldn't have happened.
It would have made the difference, wouldn't it? Because the elite already given.
Probably true, because I'd probably counted the elite already.
Probably true. So, but I think it's an interesting point. You were saying you felt they're so good that they ended up fighting early and trying to win. They tried to win the game. Whereas Dave and Steve are saying, if you make them ordinary, you are then forcing yourself to use them like you plan to use them as a defensive block. And it's it's that thing about stapling your own hands to the table to stop yourself doing stuff. It's like, you've got to do that. And actually making them...
In the past, I did. They were very much more passive.
Making them elitist. I'm sorry, not elite is probably the secret.
And I also came away thinking, if I want them a little bit more passive, could I drop them down to 3 of them?
Yeah, possibly. But
that, I think, again, would discourage me from throwing them in.
Yeah, but I think 4 ordinary is probably the conclusion. I think, or 4 also, 4 more. Because I played a samurai in the first game, and it had big block. I think the katana were in the middle, and I sort of ignored them, and they had loads of bow katana on a flank, but they advanced out of terrain. So I just ran up with a skirmish screen of light horse and then cavalry behind, and I just let the skirmish screen take 2 rounds of shooting, and then I just charged them with with it through the skirmish screen with impact cavalry and stuff, and wiped them out. And then I think that was another one where the flank march came on and caused them all sorts of trouble as well. But yeah, don't try and win with everything. You've got to have something to block and something to win. So did the stampeding cattle do anything?
That was my moment of glory over the weekend. For 3 points, these are absolutely amazing steel. Take these. Get 3 points from nowhere.
Dave, and you've got no soul.
And they're good and they're fun.
Yeah.
What they did do is they managed to form a reserve line when somebody's elephant general charged through. Big up for Mark Clark. He stormed his elephants into me in game 1. His elephant general killed me outright in 1 turn, so my stampeding cattle caught him. The follow-up, and managed to die successfully enough to do him in and then to kill his general by killing the requisite number. And it was only when we were partway through the following bound, he said, should I have still been getting my impact for that combat? And whilst we were looking that up, we discovered he should have been getting his entire elephant factors for the combat against Starting.
Does he really?
So the moment of glory.
You get a minus because you're fighting elephants, but I think it's still...
No, we looked it up, Dave. He still get...
So it's javelin, lightfoot, javelin, and elephants.
Yeah.
Okay.
They get it. And then it suddenly, oh no, I'm going to take mine off instead.
No. Yeah,
but they're fun, and they're
models.
It looks great. So,
all right, let's have a look at how we all ended up then. So this was the final placings for us all then. So I think this was numbers of points actually, wasn't it? So Mr. Speed came way not way over the top actually, 20 points, 18 points ahead of Charles. I contributed to both those scores, so for me, I contributed a bit more to Charles's score than to Ian's, but not by much. And then, so Elephant Army, Ian's had 3 or 4 elephants. It wasn't elephant-tastic. Charles has had 2. Mark Clark's we've talked about. You played that, Jason. The Tibetan gave Steve a big problem. That one had none.
That's the Tibetan that I beat 10-0 on Saturday morning.
Oh, right. Right. So you obviously, Andy managed to submarine up from that.
Andy submarined right up from the bottom, yeah.
And then there's Samurai all the way across the table from there, all the way up. And I'm just so it's a real, and then a Han Chinese, which I think Tony's a new player by the looks of it. Not a name I recognise. And a classic, that one as well would probably, a couple of those. That's a different Dave Allen. That's West Country Dave Allen. And I think so. The Greek Bactrian,
Dave Allen, not a Dave Allen.
That's the other Dave Allen.
It
looks like Greco Bactrian was kind of got the worst end of that particular stick, or their long ends of the stick on that one. But no, an entertaining 4 games actually. I really enjoyed them all. It was and it's nice to just have 4 in a way. It gets plenty of time around the show, and the bring and buy, where I managed to get a ridiculously good purchase that I was very enthusiastic about. to the point of rushing up to Jason and Steve. Look, I've got this really good thing. I've just bought it. It's great. You should go have a look. And Jason's like, yeah, that's mine. My army.
Well, it wasn't by that stage. It was yours.
No, it wasn't. It was mine. It was like, and I think did that mean I actually carried it in the boot of my car and to the? No, not quite. You brought it, but it had been in the house. So yeah, we managed to exchange a sum of money and get taxed by the Devizes War Game Club for the privilege of doing so, which was all kind of slightly bizarre. But yeah, so on with the samurai. So
This means war.
Dave in the dark, are you still there? Can you still hear us?
I can still hear you. Yes, I
see it as well.
I have interjected slightly now and again.
Excellent, good. So we're now into the 15 mil world of Cyrus, and you chose a kind of proto-Cyrus army of Neo-Babylonians. So, what was your thinking here, Dave?
Well, my thinking was, I think in this period, camels are actually quite useful in terms of being able to operate in rough going, where a lot of people will be putting their bowmen, especially blade bow, which if you do it right, which I didn't, the camels can actually be quite good at riding those down, especially when used in conjunction with the medium sword bow. But this is a poor army list. It's a poor army list because of the command and control. I'm spending too much. It should have the strategist in there instead of one of the brilliant generals. I think it should run as a 2-command list with a micro command of some description, with one of them being a strategist, the other one probably being brilliant. But because they're brilliant, they can be larger commands without really that much of a problem. The sword bow and the cavalry together, I actually found in some games that when I finally worked out what I was doing with them, work very well, because it can actually mean that you might just be able to stand up if somebody rocks up at them with heavy chariots. In my final game, I stuck the cavalry in there. They were going around the flanks. They were taking one off them when they came in there. It worked quite nicely. So that command 3, not bad. Probably left as a brilliant general, but I don't think
did you
command 2
intermix them. Because I'm looking with it's an interesting thing that with a brilliant general, would you have enough command points to have 2 mixed swordsmen, 2 cavalry, 2 mixed swordsmen, 2 cavalry, and actually, it's 4 points to move it forwards, but you're going to get 1, 2, 3 most turns, aren't you? Or did you just keep them as a block and just kind of wing it?
I think there's possibly too many camels in it. I think maybe you could do with 3 camels instead. Maybe have 2 of them as cavalry bow, because when you have them as the cavalry, you tend to overuse them and try and get them into combat, which probably isn't the right thing to do with them. You probably want them there as a deterrent more than as a attacking force.
The great deterrent that is medium cavalry bow mediocre.
But they are to mounted.
Yes.
Most mounted won't like going that near to them, and if you have them in the line against some mounted, it can make all the difference, and it can mean that your blade bow can almost stand up in the open against most things. But it's not a great list. It really isn't. I think I'd put the medium cavalry bow, if I was doing it again, in with the chariots. I'd have a pseudo micro command, possibly with a competent inclusive, which I don't like doing, but I wanted to use all the command points because you get 5 with this, and I wanted to up my aggression as much as possible. It's just not very well done, and I didn't play with it very well.
Well, look, that's you're damning yourself with faint praise, but I'm sure there's 3 other people here who can just go in 2-footed on that one. Anybody want to start?
I'm in better than that.
He did ask us, didn't he, Jason?
He did.
He kind of, Jay said to it, Dave sent us this list and basically kind of said, what would you do? Me and Jace kind of went, well, we'll do this. And Dave went, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And my thing would be, I think you don't want all the chariots together. I think they can just get blocked off too easily. And if you if you're having a bad weekend and you're deploying them in the wrong place, and they really are your killers kind of thing in that army. My personal would be, I would have the camels all on their own with the 4 light infantry, so you can kind of target one particular bit, and then I would have basically cavalry with some couple of chariots, and then the bowmen with a couple of chariots, so that you can kind of fight anything. And then have the camels kind of floating around with that light foot front to basically protect them. So even if they do come up against like shooting bowmen or shooty cavalry, then you can kind of go, well, you're going to have to kill all the light foot, because the camels are just going to use them as a kind of,
screen.
As a screen.
You're probably right. But I think you may be right there, Steve. I don't think the light infantry are great. You want them. You definitely want the light infantry. You definitely need them as a shield. Do you need them as a shield for the chariots? Possibly not, because the chariots might be able to take it a hell of a lot better than the flaming camels can. Yeah,
I think so. Chariots don't need the shield,
Yeah.
Because this army list has got some interesting stuff in it. You've got 2 heavy spearmen with armor. You've got 2 heavy swordsmen elite with armor if you want. You can have 2 heavy cavalry with bow, not just the 1. We talked about having a solid block of stuff. And I don't know, in a kind of horsey period, having even, a couple of armoured spearmen infantry is like a piece of fuck you terrain, isn't it, really? In some ways, it's almost more useful than the chariots, because it gives you a way of moving backwards and forwards. I don't know, Jace, Dave, any other thoughts on that? Or have you tried this with spearmen? Because it's almost acminid, isn't it? And I've got some of these medium swordsmen bowmen and the camels that I do want to use, but
I do love mixed units. I love the sort of half and half or medium sword bow or that sort of stuff. But I do personally, I think they're a little bit better split up. I don't think they make a great solid 1 block of 4. When I've had success with them, I think they go very well supporting cavalry. If you've got a cavalry command and maybe 1 or 2, my personal favourite, heavy spearman bow or heavy spearman crossbow, I think they're really good to support cavalry if you plan to attack the cavalry, because they can force things back, or they can just shoot at the sort of stuff that's going to be threatening to you at further range, and it comes forward to threaten you. And 4 of them, I think we discussed this, Tim, last year before we're looking at an army I was thinking about for Brixham, that they can just have target written all over them.
Yeah,
because
I'm thinking.
I think I would definitely agree with that. They do have target written all over them, and it was almost like a magnet watching everything come towards them. Who thought that's something I can kill quite easily.
And you didn't even fight the Gallic army, did you, Dave? So
no. The Gallic army would have been interesting in a way. But the thing is, I didn't use the medium cavalry bow anywhere near as well as I should have done. They did very little for me in the entire game.
I just look at that army and I kind of think that if I've got any half decent foot, I'm running it at those medium swordsmen and those camels, and I'm just going at and basically ignoring the rest of the army kind of thing. So.
And actually, even that second command, because none of this stuff is elite, you've got a lot of things that are vulnerable to shooting. That's just got throw arrows at me, that second command written all over it.
Yeah.
And then
I would agree more.
So I think I've used Assyrians with actually not even going with all 4 chariots. It's a similar-ish sort of army with the medium sword. I think I've only used 2, and I've stuck some of the heavy infantry in just to make it a bit more solid. But that does really change it from mobile army. But yeah, split the mixed unit up. They're a target in a 4. In a 2, they're a support. Probably too many chariots in one go. Dave, you're just saying, Saunders, you're saying cut it all, are you? Just
absolute bollocks.
Yeah.
The 4 chariots are in 1 command with 2 lightfoots and an ordinary included general, and they're just go for a target, hit hard, and win the game or not. You don't need a brilliant general with them, especially as they're impacting elite. You're going to save a lot of points there. You need at least, I would have the 4 mixed units, medium sword bowmen together. I'd take the camels and put them in the other command. I would skip.
So I just do the maths in real time. So you swap that to ordinary included. So you've saved 9.
Yeah.
And saved another 8 there. So you're 17 up at the moment.
Yeah. So then the 4 mixed units go to, you could go 3 mixed unit and a bowman, preferably mediocre. if you can manage it. Because
That's
that
the
one
day
just
one.
shoots with another guy who's ordinary. With that medium foot command, you probably put a heavy cavalry bow and a light horse with it to stiffen it up and give it maneuver a bit. And you could make that a competent general. And then you could have a pretty strong cavalry command. And I would try to get, as we're going to come on to in a minute, I would have as little medium cavalry bow as you possibly could. So, I mean, you could run down one side of the table, a dick around command of cavalry, camels, and things like that. Maybe the other light books as well to protect.
I think your challenge there, Dave, with this list is it only has 2 heavy cavalry bow.
Yeah, so you only want one of them. Well, you want one of them in the third command with the mixed unit and a light horse.
Yep.
Stronger if you can go that way. And then you probably, I'd make that an included general.
Mm.
And then I would have a cavalry command with a competent or a brilliant general with camels,
medium cavalry and light cavalry,
another heavy cavalry, and some light horse, something like that, which is just to support, which is just to go and support the chariots into combat, and if necessary, run away, run around, cause problems. You can make that one brilliant, so you can just scatter that command and pin things from behind.
What are you spending your, you've managed to cook up like 20 plus points here through reorganizing and shaving it off. What are you going to spend it on?
I'd definitely take the second guard cavalry then.
Second guard cavalry is half of it.
And I dropped the levy as well. I wouldn't bother with the levy. I dropped one of the medium sword half guys and put a bowman instead.
But then you're starting to get points that you can either use on.
I would look at the heavy infantry, especially.
Heavy infantry.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe I should have looked more at the heavy spearmen because from what you're saying, we've just saved about 30 odd points there, which gives you nearly all the heavy foot that you were talking about, Tim. Yeah.
Andy Gilbert played me in a one-day competition with this army, and he had the mixed units, the heavy foot, minimum cavalry, and quite a few camels, and it caused me no end of problems. Mainly because it's an army you just don't see very often. Those combinations of heavy foot and camels is just like you sit there going, what the hell is this? How do I deal with it? What do I do with it? I mean, I fought it with another biblical army, and my light chariot bow elite with armor just got stuck on camels, unable to kill them. And yet, I mean, I would lose one, rally up. I had light chariot bow elite with armor and included generals, and they couldn't kill the camels.
I'll see if I can get one of those violin music bits underneath this.
Yeah, it does sound very, very sad there, Dave.
As an army list, the Neo-Babylonian list is far, far superior to what I took, and would be a good challenge to what won the competition.
Here we go. So
I think there is a good army in that, by the way. But
there is a good army.
I just didn't pick it.
Yeah, it's unusual, isn't it? Because it's a list that gets passed over, and it's just going. Actually, there's 6 cavalry. There's some heavy foot. There's good command and control. It's just working out why you should choose this instead of Middle Assyrian or later Assyrian. But
just before we leave it, so nobody's said pick the strategist. Do you think it's not worthwhile in this army?
You could have a strategy, right? So
but Dave's going to have to. He's got so many spare points. He's like,
but you like I say, you have an order included. The chariot is just what people say is a hammer. You want to have that there. Then you could probably put the strategist in with the third command with them, and then split it. You could have one. A strategist can operate as as 2 commanders.
I agree with
cavalry command. And you could have a small command to support the chariots into combat. That's probably the way I'd do it. But then those spear are really nice, especially when you're facing Persians.
That
could be different.
This means war.
So this nonsense then, Mr. Saunders. What was the?
I took
these lovely figures. What was the theory?
I took them because I painted them in lockdown and I don't get enough use out of them, and they look really good on the table.
But for a short period of time, is that
the Syrian army is pants, especially in this competition, because it was Cyrus the Great and there's a certain specific dates. Because I went, I can use the Syrians, but you're not allowed the cataphracts, you're not allowed the mediocre pike, you're not allowed the Greeks, you're not allowed the the Thracians, so it's got to be a Scythian army of an early with the heavy cavalry bow. So I just went nonsense, taking it anyway. The obvious trick is 4-3, which is the 4 heavy cap. Sorry. So one thing, having used this before, I know the medium cavalry bow are just appalling, and I knew they were going to be facing mixed half sword, half bow. So the foot bow are shooting at plus, and I knew, there's going to be Persians with immortals who are elite bow. So I was thinking I'm going to take all the light horses elite to give them a bit more chance of surviving foot bow and try to put them again. And also the 2 bowmen in command 2 were there to try and sit in front of enemy foot bowmen to sort of have a bow fight, to try and soak up some shots. It didn't work at all. But command 3 of the 4 light horse is damn good fun. It's going to go on a flank march, and it did go. I think what did we play? 3. We played 5 games. I think I flank marched in 4 games. They took the camp 3 times. And that was just fun in itself, especially when you're coming on a 5 or 6 in the first bound and things like that. They're great fun. And having the ordinary included light horse general is just hilarious fun.
Were they ever unreliable on the flank march?
No, they were all right. They were fine. They were good. Wow. They were well behaved. Yeah. But as I say, the problem is the horse archers, the medium cavalry bow, which there are 7 of them. When they're facing foot bowmen, they just get shot to pieces. And the terrible thing about the Scythian army is it's got a command of control of 3. So you've got a brilliant, a competent, and an ordinary, and you can't do better than that. So you're constantly trying to rally. You haven't got enough pips to rally. So I played Harrison, who I always play in these competitions. He was using Persian. He had 2 brilliant generals and a competent, and he was able to rally up faster than I could rally up, and that was the difference in the games. I enjoyed playing. It's fun. It's fun.
So this is not kind of like an
army, though.
This is like a lightweight Hun army, isn't it? It's like a low alcohol Hun.
Yeah. But without the decent cavalry.
Can you not make the medium cavalry elite in this army then? Is that not?
No, not allowed.
God, bloody hell! And there's nothing else that you can have. This is basically all the troop options in this period of time.
In this competition, I always think. The problem with the Scythians is the command and control of 3, because if you have an Indian ally, you've got elephants you can't control. If you have the mediocre pike and things like that, it's a very, very difficult list to make work. I would say very difficult, and I haven't managed it by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, you weren't tempted by the mediocre javelinman, tribal militia, or
I did think about that, but yeah. I got 24 out of the army, which I thought was quite good.
The mounted Indian ally must have been, because that's an elephant.
No, it's not allowed. It's not allowed.
Okay.
The date range stops you having that as well.
Classical Greek ally?
No, you're not allowed that either, because the date range, and you're not allowed the Thracian ally.
Oh, fine, nothing.
So it's basically Scythian.
Right.
Rob Taylor, I could have maybe got a draw out of because he was too tentative.
Yeah.
Harrison could have won if the dice had gone a bit better, but he's, as I say, his command and control was like slightly better than me.
Did he beat you then in the end, Dave?
Who? Harrison beat me. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, it was nip and tuck. There was some good bounds, bad bounds, and they just
it did look fairly even every time I came over and had a look, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good fun. It was enjoyable.
Well, there's so little else in this army.
Yeah, you can't really pick holes with it.
You've got all the troop types. As I say, I'm not sure there's a debate about the 4 medium swordsman mediocre. But what they could have done to put in, but yeah, you really. I hope they did look really pretty.
They are very pretty. It's a really nice art. The forged in battle figures for the Scythians are really, really great, especially the heavy cavalry with the crests and the armor. And they take the inks. They just look fabulous to get on the table. I think I'm going to take Brickcon seriously. So the Scythians are definitely not. One tip: I'm not using Scythians at Brickcon.
Right. Oh, okay.
Oh, right. You do surprise me, because I reckon that would go down really well in the early period. That army.
So if you jam the cataphracts in, then if you're in a different time period, different competition, so does that make enough of a difference to have 4 cataphracts? Oh no, it's replaced the nobles. It replaces the heavy cavalry bow.
Yeah. You only get 4 cataphracts, but the cataphracts are much better than the cataphracts. Yeah. You can have the cataphracts with the Indian elephant commands, which makes it a bit more stiffer.
And do you take the pike as well?
I played a French guy who had, I think he had had the 4 noble heavy cavalry bow, and then everything else was light horse elite.
Yeah.
And that was just murder to play against, but you were never going to win.
Yeah, that's so different. But even with 4 cataphracts, 2 mediocre pike, and an elephant, and some medium, and then some Indians. So that
then your army's getting tiny.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah,
Weirdly enough, it's actually kind of expensive, this army.
Yes, I suppose it is, isn't it? Elite light horse at 7, and you've done well to get to 24. Would anyone even want to touch this? I don't know. I'm just like looking what we can say.
There's anything else you could do,
Yeah.
Dave's got everything he possibly could have, couldn't he? So
exactly, got all the good stuff. What do I spend the other 100 points on?
And all you're doing is just moving the same troop types around between commands.
You are, you've got all the good stuff.
And having come on over and watched quite a few of Dave's games and stuff, his little tiny 4 light horse command seemed to be the best thing in his army. It was
I wouldn't disagree with that in any way.
Camps left, right, and centre, and running around all over the board, wasn't it? It was like,
he came on against Harrison almost immediately, ran round the back of him and got stuck on his light horse.
Yeah.
Before I could wing the camp, and then I lost my light horse general, which was very disappointing.
Well, actually, that -6 giving you a 22-point command with 4 elite light horse is actually, that isn't much to spend, is it? That's diddly. That's actually worth seriously looking at in a few different armies, I would suspect, if you're allowed the integral general, which some light horse armies don't allow, but I guess this one does. So well, let's have a look how that all panned out then. So here we go. Let's look from the top. Keep going. I'm sorry, I get a prick in my neck here. And this is a 5-round competition, so the points are a bit higher than us 25mm guys. So you finished. So basically, it was really close between the 2 Daves. Then only 20 points in it with 2.
Well, I suppose so. But mine's flattered because I played 2 people who weren't very experienced and beat them, and lost convincingly to anybody with any talent or ability. Not talent or ability, experience.
Experience.
I'm not saying the 2 less experienced guys were untalented, but they just were inexperienced. So I got flattered by that, and I didn't play well.
I thought Lance did really well with the classical Greeks.
Wow.
Come forth, because all the armies have got better command and control and can probably get the terrain. So using a heavy spear army in a shooty competition that's pretty good. 4th place with it. I was really tempted to take the classical Greek and play something strange, but couldn't get there.
Okay. And Rob, what were the? Do you remember what the first 3 were? Rob was obviously...
Rob Taylor was Achaemenid. Paul Johnson was the Oman City-States. Is it Oman City-States, which is all...
Scousers, isn't it? Old man.
30, I think it's 36 bases of medium...
Well, it's going to be 36 bases.
But camels.
Nonsense. Okay.
I think Harrison was telling me it was all camels and blade.
Yeah.
So if he fought something that the camels didn't want to fight, then the blades just came in. He played with the blades, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to see David from Plymouth. Yeah, as well. That's good. They're obviously
he's quite good at fog as well. So
that's cracking.
Steve Nice is doing well, regularly playing well and doing well. Harry's back from the Navy. After being shot at with cruise missiles in the Red Sea for 6 months. So I think losing some competition games has been a relief for him.
No, that's good. Excellent. Well, I think that was Dave's still there in the dark in that corner, isn't he? That's great.
I'm sorry. I'll get it fixed the next time if we have another one.
Dave will do that. But no, I thought it was a great weekend, actually. It was, the weather held off. It wasn't even too hot. We managed to not drink too late. We were quite adult, even though we tucked away quite a different mix of eclectic beers. We had good adult food. We didn't order too much curry, which is like what's going on.
Didn't have curry.
We didn't have curry. My God.
What a difference not having Kev Johnson.
I know.
If Kev had been there, we would have had been. I don't know if there is a curry house in Melksham. Is there? There must.
There is a curry house.
There would have been one if Kev was there. It would have magically sprung up by magic.
They would have built one just for Kev.
Just for Kev. And did anybody other than me buying Jason's army? Did anybody get anything good at the show?
Shopping,
yeah. Any good shopping?
Gamers Grass Tufts. I
Raymond's graph tough. Still at war paint, I imagine. Yeah.
I did look at some tufts as myself, but then I didn't do it. So
then you bottled it. Okay. I bought some randomly shaped bits of MDF for 1/700 scale islands and some 28mm Hittite metal chariots to make my middle Assyrian army into an earlier Assyrian army. And I think the competition periods next year are going to be more chariot-y. The 25mm one's going to be more chariot-y. So that gives me a year to paint up 2 chariots from New Line, the nice and cheap ones. And I managed to avoid buying too much else. So even with all that extra time to swan around, although I did swan around and get a lot of pictures of traders at BritCon, which I posted on social media of them all pointing at their new stuff. So if you check out the BHGS Facebook page, you'll see the fruits of my between games labours. So no, I think it's a good one, and I will endeavour to try and turn this one around and get it out onto the airwaves and the video waves and all the rest of it. So welcome to 3 of you to your first podcast. Dave, good to see you again. As well. Happy days doing your painting. And Dave Everett, good not to see you at all.
I think it's always best actually. I think that's possibly a plus.
Yeah, Steve, you've managed to change your name from Bernadette, which
my mum to
me. Exactly. Which it's not taken that long, has it? I thought the process was normally longer than that, but new Labour government, all these things are happening, aren't they? It's everything's been fast tracked. So that's good. So this may well be the first in a new series of occasional random podcasts until we meet again, which I suspect will be in a couple of weeks' time up in Manchester. Sorry, not Manchester, in Nottingham for many of us. So Steve, you're not coming to that one. You're going to pop in? No, sod it. Can't be bothered. Yeah, got better things to do. Good.
It's close to my birthday and holiday.
Oh yeah, God yeah. No, that's a win, isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, good night from me, and good night from all of you. Good night.
Good night. See you. Bye.
Nighty.
Can I stop recording? Oh, that's good. Oh, what was that? I hope that was your cat or something like that. My God, otherwise you've got serious problems with body hair in a place.
I had an amazing Teams meeting at work where 2 different people on the same meeting both had a black cat, and their little boxes came up next to each other. And there was one bit where it looked like the cat was walking
between the two.
One cat went off to the left side, and the other one came on the right.
This means war.